So since everyone is here, and I think few more folks will be joining in soon, but I like to start the meeting. So welcome all for the monthly meeting for Equity Working Group. We'll just go about our usual first segment of introductions. If someone is new and is attending the meeting for the first time, please do come forward and introduce yourself to the group. And then we would have a round robin for updates. If there's something interesting that you have been working on, or that if there's any upcoming project or information you'd like to just share with the group, please do so. And moving forward from there, we do have a presentation on energy burden cost factor analysis. Joe Rendell and Zenglai Shen would be presenting that, and post which we will have a Q&A session. And then we'll have just a closing notes. So, Dipti, I just wanted you to have some remarks before we start on with the introduction.
Thank you, Vidisha. Hello, everyone. I am Deepti Dutt. I'm one of the co-leads of this working group, and I work as the manager of technology market transformation team here at Northeast Energy Efficiency Partnerships. Our area is like the 13 Northeast states that mostly come under cold climate and mid-Atlantic climate zones, and trying to transform the market for heat pump water heaters and heat pumps in of my work here.
Thank you, Dipti. And moving forward, I would just encourage people who are attending the meeting for the first time to please come forward and introduce yourself one by one. Amy, would you like to? Oh, I'm so sorry. So yes, please go ahead.
I guess I'm new. Do I need to introduce myself?
Now you do.
Yeah, my name is Zenglai Shen, and I'm the associate staff member at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. I'm working in the building envelope and materials research group. I graduated from the University of Alabama in Huntsville in 2020, and then since then I engaged a little bit of the energy burden research, and I joined the ONL in 2021. And after that, I constantly have the chance to work with Joe on different projects. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Zenglai. And we are glad to have you on board, and we are looking forward to the presentation today. Amy, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Amy Cortese. I'm a program director at New Buildings Institute. So nice to see all of you here to talk about this important topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. Moving forward, since we don't have any other new introductions, I'd just like to go to the next segment for recent work updates. From NBI side, I just want to give one update on the Heat Pump Water Heater Day, which is in October. We'll be giving in more information regarding that in our upcoming meetings. But for now, yes, please do mark your calendars for 23rd October. We do have a heat pump water heater day. We have finalized the presentations and the breakout sessions, and we're sending out the information pretty soon. And the senior project manager at NBI, Joe Vachunas, is currently on a heat pump water heater road trip. And in our next meeting, he will probably have a lot of updates and good things to share about the heat pump water heater. So looking forward to that in our next meeting. That's from NBI, and I encourage if anybody else has to share something regarding their recent work updates or any interesting projects. Like Tracy was talking about some of the work that she has been doing. So Tracy, if you'd like to have a word about that with the group, it'll be great.
Tracy Wallace, Green Careers Texas, and I'm also on the Environmental Commission for City of Dallas. And I was just sharing before we got started that we're hoping to host some contract to make sure that they are on the cutting edge as this comes forward, to make sure they know the benefits and the rebates, things like that.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Well, is there anybody else if you would like to share something?
I guess I was mentioning earlier, Joe Rendell from Oak Ridge National Labs. that Minnie Malhotra presented a paper at the Herrick conferences, and I was going to try to put that in the chat, but it seems like I can't upload the document, so I'll just reply all to the meeting invite with it.
That should be fine, Joe. And in case you're not able to, you can send that to me in an email. I can forward it to the group.
Okay, sounds great.
Tabitha, I see you have a random question, and I'm going to leave it there for the group to respond because I I don't have an answer for that one.
Thank you. Anybody who has any thoughts would be appreciated.
Paul, do you have anything like any recent work updates that you would like to share?
No, you mentioned Heat Pump Water Heater Day. Energy Star Day is a little bit earlier in the month on October 9th. And they are taking, similar to last year, the message is going to be around all customer categories have the opportunity to participate in energy efficiency and a clean energy future. So there will be an angle toward the low to moderate income base of customers. So more to come on those details. I know we're also, Energy Star's collaborating with AWHI on Heat Pump Water Heater Day. And I also just wanted to make a shout out to NEAT. I read a lot of the notes after their summit, and I thought they did a really nice job of summarizing some of the key takeaways, strategies, and engagement around equity and the equitable customer out in the regions. So if you hadn't seen that yet, I thought, Deepti, you guys did a really nice job of capturing that.
Thanks, Paul. I can share the neat notes too. Let me look it up and I'll share that later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipti. Thank you, Paul. Just checking in with Pepper. Do you have any updates you would like to share with the group?
I don't think so at this time, but I might soon.
Sure. Thank you so much, Pepper. So since we are done with the segment for recent work updates, I like to move forward with the presentation. So over to you, Joe and Zhenglai. I'll be moving your slides, so you could just let me know whenever you want to move to the next slide.
Yeah, mute Zhenglai.
Sorry. Sorry, good afternoon. Today I will discuss a little bit of the diversity of allergy burden across the US and its interactions with the community vulnerability and building allergy efficiency. So this is a big topic, and I will trying to touch on, I will trying to not touch the deeper things, understand the especially those are how, I know you may do not quite interested in the method or how the methodologies, but I will explain, how these things will link together. Could you please go to next slide? Yeah, so what is allergy burden first? First thing is first. So allergy burden is the percentage of a household's income spent on allergy cost. It's the allergy cost includes the electricity, the heating, and the cooling. It's an important metric because it highlights the financial strain that allergy expenses can place on households, particularly with those lower incomes. High allergy burden can lead to tough choices between paying for allergy and other essential needs like food, health, and education. So what's the impact of the allergy burden? So high allergy burden affects most of the vulnerable populations who often live in less allergy efficient homes. This is not only increases the allergy cost, but also, their financial stress and the overall quality of life. Addressing allergy burden is crucial for promoting allergy justice and ensure that all household has access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy. So in the figure, what I showed is NEED tool. NEED tool is the Department of Allergies low-income allergy affordability data tool, which is designed to help stakeholders and include the policymakers and allergy service providers understand and address allergy burden. The NEAT tool provides comprehensive data on household allergy characteristics, expenditures, and the burden at various graphic levels. You see right now the figure we show that the whole US allergy burden, but for this things, the allergy burden you need to in here we need to select the federal poverty level. Federal poverty level, you can select from 0 to 200%. 0 to 200% is the low to median income. That's what we called. And also you may also want to select the building age. What's the building age you want to include in your study, and the heating fuel type. The heating fuel type do include the natural gas, electricity, as well as other fuels. Also, you even can select the building types. Later I will need to return back and touch what for us we studied the multi-family building houses. So yeah, so we need to select this one. And another thing is you have rent and own. Not everybody has their homes. So what this tool is usually used for, the stakeholders can identify areas with high allergy burdens. You see that right now the allergy burden on the Northeast is quite higher than other regions. And another thing is you can develop targeted programs and policies to help others for these weatherization assistance programs like that, as well as you can improve the energy efficiency and affordability. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I talked a little bit about energy burden. So you'll see the energy burden actually is related to your income and your energy cost. So now let's look at what is the community vulnerability and how it will influence the energy burden. The community vulnerability, if we look at the website of the CDC, and you will get the left hand side, figures. It tells you what the community vulnerability will include. The overall vulnerability. The community vulnerability refers to the susceptibility of a community to various forms of harm due to the social, economical, and the environmental factors. This vulnerability significantly influence the allergy burden. So understanding the vulnerability is also crucial for developing effective strategies to alleviate any allergy burden and promote the allergy equity. So in here, it includes the overall vulnerability, includes the socio-economic status, household characteristics, racial and ethnic minorities, as well as the housing type and the transportation. The socio-economic status usually is lower income levels, and the economical, instabilities increase the energy burden, because a larger portion of the household income is spent on the energy cost. Also, another thing is represent the economical instability is the unemployment, and also it may relate with your health insurance and the high school diploma if you have this educational background. And the second one is household characteristics. This is quite sometimes is not that how it's well related to your energy burden. The household characteristics such as age, health condition, and the presence of children or elderly members. And this is because the elderly members and the young members, they are vulnerable people, and they may need a dedicated environment to keep they are healthy. And the third one is the racial and ethnic minority status. And this is not they will use more energy. This is because the minority groups often faces systematic inequity that can lead to higher energy cost and this will also reduce them to access to energy efficiency resources. And the last one is the housing type and transportation. And this is quite related to what Joe and I'm doing is the building it's a building energy efficiency is quite close to it. The type of the condition of the house along with the your access to reliable transportations. Both of them are impacted to the energy consumption, and the older and less efficient homes and the lack of access to public transportation, so all can increase your energy burden. So I did this research during the COVID-19. During the COVID-19, there is other two things was included in there. One is the epidemiological risk factors, and another thing is the healthcare system factors. Since right now it didn't, there is no COVID, I will not touch this side. Next slide, please. So I talked all these things. I talked the energy burden, what's the energy burden definition, as well as the vulnerability. So you may want to look at what's the energy burdens spatial distributions along the in the United States. The variation is influenced by several factors, and this is clearly it will influenced by the climate conditions. So, in the northeast, and the climate is totally different than the west. For example, the Pacific West. So, as well as also your housing stocks. Some regions have old buildings, have many old buildings, but some regions may they may have new buildings, and their energy efficiency standard is quite high, so their energy cost is their energy consumption is low. Also, there is something, the energy price will also influence that one, as well as your socio-economic conditions. Yeah, for the national level across the U.S., the average energy burden you can see, and from the left figure is for the whole U.S. I separate it into several census regions, which this include all the things, and across the U.S. the average burden varies, with some regions experience high energy cost related to income. For example, the household in the the east south central, it faces a high energy burden due to the greater heating and cooling needs. Also, they may have older housing stock and most needs because they have lower median incomes. For example, the east south central region, it includes those states like Alabama, like Mississippi, and as well as the some places, and like even Tennessee is included in there, but Tennessee's energy burden is not that high, just as Alabama. So why we study different regions? This is because when we go into the census region level, with the census region level, there is a lot. Also, we can see the notable disparities. For example, the New England characterized, it has many old buildings and a harsh winter, so often see a higher heating cost. But in contrast, for the Pacific region, it has a mild climate and generally has low energy burdens, but is still facing challenges in areas. For example, the Pacific regions may have a higher building cost because their housing cost is high. And another thing is that also we can go into the state levels, but the right figure shows it is for all the states of the U.S. how the energy was distributed, how the energy burden was distributed. The first one, the lowest one happens in the New Jersey. New Jersey has the lowest, for the low to medium income household, they have the lowest allergy burden. The highest one is in the Mississippi. So when you also say there is the distribution shows, for example, the Hawaii, the distribution is quite is around the 5 to 10% and do not have much changes. But if you see other places, for example, the Michigan, you see the Michigan, there is a bigger gap. Some household has a very high allergy burden. For example, the highest one is even higher than 20%, but the lowest one is about 7%. So we notice that different regions, even in the same state, you're different from county to county. Your allergy burden is different. Next slide, please. So all right, before what I told is just we already have before what I told is some quantitative study. Quantitative study is I mean we knew there is allergy burden has some connections with community vulnerability, as well as it may also the distribution of the allergy burden may also you want to see why there is the distribution is like that and why it is not. So we need to move beyond the quantitative study and trying to understand a little bit more to find a quantitative relationships between the allergy burden and the community allergy vulnerability. So this will help us understand the strengths and the direction of these relationships. I mean, quantitative study is, the regression analysis and some other analysis, or even the, nonlinear fitting, they are the quantitative to establish those relationship. So the quantitative study for me is that we use, I use the first step in the analysis. I use the Pearson correlation to find the relationship between the allergy burden and the various community vulnerability indexes. Pearson correlation is very simple. It measures the linear relationship between the two variables and providing a value from -1 to 1, and the value close to 1 indicate a strong positive correlation, and the value close to -1 indicates a strong negative correlation. So why we use the Pearson correlation? So this one allows us to quantify the degree between, with the community vulnerability factors, such as social vulnerability status, housing quality, racial, economic status, and the associated with various allergy burdens. So in here, I show, in this table, I just show, the how the correlation goes. As we expected, the SE represents social economic status. The SE has a high correlation with the allergy burden, and but the HD represents the household and the household and the household characteristics. The ML represents the the minority and the language. So we are a little bit surprised why the minority and the language will have a negative coefficient, because this is we are not expected it will have a negative coefficient. Why? And this is because generally we expect the minority guys will have a higher allergy burden, so we expect a positive relationship. But the CDC's data is we check many times and we find that it is really a negative one. This is because in the minority and the languages, it includes it not only includes the minority, it also includes the language as an indicator. The minority also we find that the minority include the Asian, African American, and some other minority guys. Actually, not all the minority guys will have a high energy burden. In fact, Asian guys actually has a higher income in most, even sometimes even even higher than the native guys. Another thing is the language. The language they just say if this guy is saying English or not. But not every guy, saying do not saying language, saying English will have a higher energy burden. So there is a lot of factors influence this one and this one. So we excluded from here. But as we found that the energy burden is has a really close relationship with the community and community vulnerability, and all the tests shows the Pearson correlation is significant. And the next slide, please. So in addition to that, this is it's difficult to understand for these things what I did in here. In fact, what we did in this paper is we also did we also tried the ordinary least square regression or OLS. The OLS is just we test how we use the energy burden as the response variable, and we use the other community vulnerability index as the independent variable. So we regression for all the regions and yeah, but the ordinary least regression it didn't include any spatial effect. The spatial effect, I mean, if you're lived in your home, if you're lived in a good neighborhood, your house is expensive, the probability of your neighbor's house is also expensive is higher than if you're a guy lived in a poor community and and his you expect his labor's house is really really expensive. That's almost impossible because most of the location actually says a lot of things. Just like like in US, yeah, there is a affluent neighborhood and also some neighborhood is not that rich. The concept is very similar. Is trying to find out how your labor will, influence you. Your labor will influence you is not only, a labor, maybe just a household to another household is a labor, or this county or or the Lux County to the closed county is also the labor counties. That's your study these problems in different scales is just like that. So what we did is the spatial analysis. The spatial analysis, there is a lot of spatial models. There is some advanced spatial models. The spatial models is to understand how the relationship between the energy burden and the community vulnerability varies geographically. So we collected the geographic ID concept in there. And in the paper specifically, I used the spatial lag model, the spatial error model, the geographically weighted regression, as well as the multi-scale geographically weighted regression analysis. Here I choose I just showed the GWR and the MGWR. I didn't show the spatial lag and the spatial error model. Yeah, I don't want to go into the details of how these models works because there is if you never touched it before between the spatial things, there will be a little bit difficulty to understand. But there is something I can tell you is that there is some ideas of the spatial homogeneity and the spatial heterogeneity. For example, in the mouse is not on my side, so I can't show you thing. But the heterogeneity is just like that. Heterogeneity is your, for example, your house is really expensive, but you find okay your neighbor's house is really really cheap. This is and you'll find that this things, rich poor, rich poor, you'll find that this is your community and mixed or not. This means this neighborhood is this shows the heterogeneity things in this neighborhood, because we expect a neighborhood maybe just rich guys lived with rich guys, and not really that much rich guys lived with those things, but we find okay this things looks like it's not that the case. The homogeneity is just like okay, the neighborhood is most of the guys is rich, maybe some guys is outlier or something like that. This happens, but it's not the main trend. That that that's just like that. So the spatial regression analysis is consider this both the homogeneity and the heterogeneities in there, as well as you will consider the scales. The scale, the scale in a county is a scale, in a state is also a scale. So some scales, how you mix those scales, for the geographically weighted regression, it only considers the heterogeneities in there. It didn't consider it can count the heterogeneities effects in there, but it can't count big pictures in there. It didn't mix the different scales, but the multi-scale GWR, you can see from the name, it's multi-scale, it can mix the different scales and trying to give you a whole picture, not only give you the local picture, but also give you the whole picture in the analysis. So the analysis, whatever the analysis result we showed in here is that the regression, actually the regression, this is the R-square value. The R-square value, we see some places have a really high R-square value is about some, when your R-square value reaches about 0.7, the regression is quite good. And there is not a good or not good in this one. We only write in the this one is a little bit close to the social science research. So social science research, sometimes they just want to find this research relationship is strong, a lot strong. They may do not want, sometimes they do not that much care about how much the R values you can improve or something. But from this research, what we found is that allergy burden actually is not only related to the space, to the to your neighborhood, but also you can see when the analysis go into the multi-scale one, you almost can explain at some places you can explain 0.9%. 0.9%, this means you include the linear relationships and you consider spatial effects. You can explain 90% of the data's effect. So what we call is that these are the key factors that influence the allergy burdens in there. The next slide, please. And then, based on the research, we go into a little bit of other researches. We go into the some allergy storage research. Some allergy storage research, and this is one I did that this is one I did for the use the summer allergy storage to reduce the community allergy burden and enhances summer resilience. Summer resilience. This is the summer allergy storage. I guess not all guys knows, maybe familiar with it. And the summer allergy storage is just you can store the excessive summer allergy for later use, which you can take advantage of the peak time and time of use rate, as well as you can also you can lower your allergy consumption. So in this study we found that I will not go into the details of what this studies found, but what we the whole methodology, I will not go into the details. But what I want to talk is how I was surprised that the some allergy storage systems can reduce the allergy burden from about from a community's energy burden from about 23% to around 19%. Actually, it reduced 4% of the energy burden since. Oh, you mean the TAB and the TES? Okay, the TAB and the TES. Sorry, I may give you a little bit of background of the TAB and TES. The TAB is the thermally anisotropic building envelope. The thermally anisotropic building envelope is I worked with my colleague Sean and Daniel. We have we since we are in the building envelope group, the thermally anisotropic building envelope, we can use it to collect. We can use it to collect the thermal allergy, the environment allergies. For example, during the winter time, when you have a sunshine afternoon, your building, although your outside air temperature may be lower, but your roof surface temperature, maybe going to 90 degree F, or even to the 95 degree F, something like that. So you'll find, okay, you can put some you can put some tubes in your building envelope to let water pass through the envelope and collect the heat in the building envelope. That's what we call the thermally anisotropic building envelope. Uh, in the summertime, it's similar. You just collect the coolness energy in the light time. So you collect the energy and then you are stored in the summer energy storage system. Because your peak hours is not at that time, so you use the summer energy storage system to use the stored energy in the peak hours to reduce your energy cost and your energy consumption. And our result shows that we can reduce about 5% of the around 5% of the allergy cost. And by the way, this is a optimization problem, and the optimization problem, we do have the cost constraint and the other constraint in there. Here I didn't show much of the research. I just say how we can use allergy burden in real life cases. Can you go into the next slide, please? Yeah, this is the research related to green source heat pump water heater. This is the what we did. We did with Jill, and the Jill presented some of the result in the ACEEE hot water
forum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the link's not a good one to go on, but if you Google ACEEE Hot Water Forum, the presentation slides will be in the program. And I've presented in 2023 as well on it. So I really thank Zhenlai for showing his past work on energy burden calculations. And what we've done is asked him to do the same thing for water heating. So he's got, this is just some of our most recent results for Minnesota on the initial low to moderate income family energy burden. And then if we apply our drain source heat pump water heater to it, the amount of saving. So this is a relative energy burden savings. I apologize. The absolute energy burden reduction, I think, is somewhere between 2 to 8%, Zhenlai. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a 2 to 8%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've been following this project, we've been modeling systems and calibrating our models to data that's out there for centralized, and we also been modeling some unitary heat pump water heaters in different locations. So that paper that I sent that Minnie did a presentation at the Purdue Herrick conferences kind of shows some of that lineage of what we've been doing. But we're about in a year two of this, and we're starting to do some experimental work. And I think getting energy burden reductions from water heating is rather hard to begin with. So I was really excited that we were able to get some pretty high relative reductions just applying it to Minnesota. The future work plans are to, and this is probably a year out, but we plan to automate running our model, running some of the input models into it. And one of them is NREL's domestic hot water event generator. We've gotten that to be automated so we can randomize it. And we're hoping to be able to come up with something nationwide that says water heating technology X will give you energy burden reduction Y in the next 2 years. But this is just the first little initial result on the project we currently have going on for the drain source heat pump water heaters. But we're really excited to be looking into this on a really large scope in the future. And Genlai is the guy that's going to help us get it done.
Yeah, that's not a challenge.
So anyways, I hope we can take some questions now. I think that's the last slide.
Yeah.
There's already been questions for your papers to be sent around Genlai, so we'll have to do that. And I'm glad this is recorded.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for the presentation, Joe and Zenglai. Yes, I think we are open for the Q&A session. And you're right, for your papers, there are already people asking for it. So if you want to share the link in the chat, I can also make sure that I'll forward it in the email when I'll be moving the recordings and the meeting agenda. And Joe, I did get your mail, so I'll be moving that presentation as well. And I have a question. I have actually two questions. Since you were mentioning about some of the stressors which you identified for as the reasons for increase in energy burden across different regions, was climate zone considered during those calculations?
I think that was a question for Genlai, right? Or is it just for Minnesota
Like,
results?
I think in general for both, I would like to know because I know Minnesota is like 8 months winter, so it's pretty cold. But in
Yep.
general, like for even for the other states, like if you have had 11% at one region, like South Central, South and East Central, and then West has like a bit less. So was climate zone also considered apart from the state, like region wise?
It's in, I'll ask the Minnesota question first because it's easier. So the climate is inherent in the performance of our model. So yes, the NREL calculator that makes the domestic hot water demand profile that we're using after we put it through a randomizer and automated the system of that has drain source temperature that's monthly for the region. And then the air source heat pump water heater is going to take information about the ambient conditions and determine a COP based on that. So yes, for the slide, it was considered.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And for the other states, also the same thing goes, like climate was inherently embedded in the model when considering the energy burden analysis.
I think so, Genlai.
Yeah, we will consider the differences, different, we are right now we are considering 5 different cities. We will generate each the similar process for each climate zone. Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess.
going forward, but for the test for TABE, I mean, there was climate information that went into determining the performance of that, correct?
Yeah, the tape one actually, yeah, we did 4 different, climate conditions. It depends on it. The tape one is really depends on the weather. For Los Angeles, you really have a high energy saving. But if for the very cold climate, because you do not have much time to collect the heating energy, so it has it didn't much help in the very cold climate. Yeah. That's we already found that we do not have time to collect the, you do not have even during the afternoon, your surface temperature is about 60 to 70. How you collect the heating energy stored in your PCM? That's sometimes that's impossible. Yeah.
I think diurnal swings were where you have a very large diurnal swing. The technology is the best.
Yeah, yeah. Los Angeles is that's the one like this.
Okay, thank you for that. And my next question is, what were the indicators for the geographically weighted regression for this particular, the one that you showed in the presentation?
I use the R square. You see there is a R square. We use R squares in there.
Mhm.
Usually the ordinary least square regression. You always look first since you look at the R square, then you may look at you may look at the p-value. Your p-value is your p-value. You may notice that sometimes the p-value is less than 0.01, so you need to be careful about it because that test shows you didn't significant your variables. So there is some test you need to find, you need to previously do, then you look at the R value. For some study, for the engineering data analysis, your R value is really important. But for social science, sometimes they may do not look at that, they may do not care how much the R value. R value is super high or super low. They may do not that much care, but they do care is what's this relationship is a positive relationship or negative relationship or how strong they are. That's what they are looking. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And just curious, was it any GIS tools that you use for the geographically weighted regression?
GIS tool. I didn't use the GIS tools. I used the Python package. You can search the Python packages. There is a Python package, so you can use Python to do it. All the figures are drawn by Python. Some the figures. Some yeah.
Long
Yeah.
back, I also tried geographically weighted regression, and at that time I used ESI and ArcGIS tool. So I was just curious to know if it was like the same one that you used for this presentation.
No, I use no, most of the times I just use I'm not a hobby to use the software. If I can code these things by myself, usually I coded it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for that. And do we have any other questions? Yes, Tracy, please go ahead.
So a lot of this is just like above me. So when there was some map that you showed, and I was surprised in Texas in the DFW area, Houston, I think, showed it a little bit more, but it didn't seem to reflect any high energy burden. And I have always understood that it is particularly our cooling that costs us so much here, but also hot water heating. And so, like on the local level, we definitely see high energy burden. It's like this all over the country in these areas of town that were designed to fail. So I'm just curious if I have it wrong that that cooling and then heating hot water are the two highest burdens in the South.
I
Oh,
I think
sorry.
that sounds right. Space conditioning and then water heating is usually the order they come in. If you're in a very, very cold climate, it's heating. If you're in a very, very hot climate, it's cooling. So I I can take a guess, having had Zhenlai explain this paper to me a couple times, is that maybe those regions are very heterogeneous. Therefore, when you're looking at the average, you don't see the pocket as clearly as you want. But maybe I'm oversimplifying. Zhenlai, can you speak to why somebody would look at a region on here and they would think there should be high energy burden and there's not? Is it the resolution, or do you think it's something else?
This is the resolution. Actually, we are looking at these papers. All the plot is each small unit is a county. Is not like a community or neighborhood. It's a county level county level. The most small scale is the county, because we can't find the very small scales in here. Some of the data, even the census tract, you may find some data in there, but you do not find, you can find the eligibility in the census tract level, but for the vulnerability data, you can't find those data. So there is something, we knew that a census tract level data will give us more strengths on the study, but yeah, limited by the data availability, sometimes you need to do some compromise. Yeah, this is mostly is because of the data scales in there.
Thank you, Zenglai. Amy, would you like to go next?
Sure. Building off Tracy's observation that the granularity of the data kind of doesn't reveal what might be the realities on the ground. I wonder if you've instead of looking at it on a county level, could look at it on a perspective of like historically redlined communities. Like Tracy said, communities were designed to fail because of discrimination. And the census data at the county level is kind of a political thing, not necessarily like a historical injustice thing. And it may be more informative if we could look at historically discriminated areas to see how the energy burden overlays there, instead of looking at it with these county lines instead. Because as you've indicated, even within the county, there are big variations depending on socioeconomic. But I don't know. A hunch tells me that a lot of this aligns across redline communities. And I just wonder if you've looked into that.
I think,
Oh,
go ahead.
you want? I can go ahead. Actually, that's a very, very good question. I remember, others approached me on on writing proposals on some, this what those guys call is just some Native Americans lived in those regions, the historical regions. They are really interested in, the regions, if they have some, community study, community surveys, and how their energy cost, as well as the transportation, and but these history regions data is really difficult to get. Actually, we are quite interested into working with those, red regions or some regions like that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a really good.
if we can get the data, we'll do it for the cities. But if there's no data, it's harder. So if anybody knows of any data sources for those redlined regions versus non, we're happy. We would love to include it. The good thing is that what he has so far is the way to do the analysis. We just need the data to do it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there are some environmental justice screening tools that could be overlaid. And that's what I put in the chat, is that City of Dallas is almost ready to launch it, probably September, where they layered a variety of tools. I just got introduced to it last night. And it's very quite interesting. Health disparities, air quality disparities. It's a really great tool. So when if I can remember when it's ready. And then I had asked a couple of questions in the chat, if y'all can get to them. I see there's another hand.
Yes, Tabitha, if you'd like to go next and post that, we can take up Tracy's questions.
Yeah, I have a quick question kind of along this same lines, and I'm pretty sure the answer is going to be the same, but for tribal regions, I'm guessing it's a lack of data. issue, but is that something that you guys are planning on looking into or have an idea on how to approach? Because, you know, tribal regions operate pretty significantly different than like at a city level. And they also have pretty unique challenges that they face, especially in terms of their energy burden and what they do, the resources that they have access to mitigate those issues. So just wondering if that's on your radar at all.
Not yet. Since we're looking at multifamily buildings, I guess and correct me if I'm wrong here, I wouldn't think they would have a lot of large multifamily buildings. Am I wrong, though?
I think I'm the wrong person to answer that. I'm not
Okay,
positive either.
okay,
Um, I would assume that there is smaller multifamily buildings, but yeah, I would guess anyways that large multifamily buildings aren't
aren't on it.
incredibly like prevalent.
Yeah, well, the good news is there's now that you mention it, we can try to apply a filter for that because there is a building database that Minnie and both Jen Lai have access to that you can check for multifamily buildings as you look around, and we're going to be focusing on that first. So if we see any overlap of maybe the 4 or 5 or 6 unit buildings, we can consider it as a potential hotspot for having improvements to energy burden. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, and then just a quick comment to this is likely less helpful for you guys on the data side of things, but community needs assessments are pretty good indicators for communities that have a large need for energy related things, have large energy burdens. And those are typically conducted by local community organizations, sometimes in partnerships with like universities or things like that, but they take a more boots on the ground grassroots approach where they're actually talking to the people in the community. And then those people can tell you what they think the biggest need in their community is, which is a lot different than, you know, answering the census or some of the data that's more readily available. It's not like a big clump of data that you can, you know, parse through. So it's not as useful kind of on the analysis scale, but on a smaller scale, looking at that granularity, community needs assessments are kind of great indicators of communities that need these technology advancements and know that they need them.
Yeah, that's a good point. We've started developing a survey to try to get responses, but how that survey gets to the people is pretty important. So yeah, we're starting Minnesota, Chicago area, and we've started to reach out a little bit to the people doing community type assessment needs. And we're also approaching it from that angle a little bit too. But yeah, very important. I agree.
Thank you for that. We're almost on time, so I'm going to take up the last two questions. I think Tracy has one, and following which, Amy, you can go ahead with your question then. Tracy, over to you.
So I just wondered on a very practical level how property owners are able to learn about TABE. And then I just said, and all energy efficiency technologies, really, like how and where has it been done? Has this communication been done really well to inform the folks that have the power and the wherewithal to do upgrades that benefit low-income community?
That's a good question. A lot of times our work and where we are with both these projects, I would say, are ready for pilots to make sure that all the models do what they expect to. So I think both projects are in the same plate where we're looking to pilot. So after the pilot, if it works, then we can try to work with technology transfer office or something like that. But historically, at least with the building equipment information, is we would work with an industry partner, get something that performs 10 times better, and then the minimum standard would slowly start ratcheting up, and people would have to start making those technologies. How to get these to then the low income folks, either technology. I don't know if we have a great example of that, but I'm going to ask around to the folks that have been here longer than me and Jen Lai and see if I could get back in touch with you how we do that. We're trying to get there, but we're not there yet. So a roadmap for that'd be great. Go ahead, Jen.
Actually, every meeting with Swing, the DOE manager, will ask us how to commercialize these things and how much cost. The manager will always ask how much this one will cost. Yeah, if you say cost is high, he has no interest because the DOE money is from the taxpayer monies. We need to responsible for the they need to better for the taxpayers instead of research. Yeah. Actually, we have a lot of headaches. How to commercialization, how to reach out to communities, and because we are the a research institute, and sometimes we lack the means to work with the community, directly work with communities, especially those low-income household communities. Yes.
But I think it's good that the DOE and their benefit FOAs and all that kind of stuff are starting to include some of these terms about energy justice. So maybe not all the roadmaps are there yet, but hopefully we're kind of paving the way if there isn't a road there that we don't know about, which happens on occasion too.
Thank you, Jim. Amy,
Yep.
would you like to go next with your question?
Honestly, I feel like we're over time and I want to be respectful of folks' time. But it might be a good idea for us to get back in touch with the folks from RNL and make sure they know about some of the previous research that we've done on equipment type or whatnot. So especially in the Midwest states, if Minnesota is one of your states. So I'm going to just suggest maybe we touch base again offline. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
And on
Thanks.
that note, I just want to have one update before I close out for the meeting today. So we do have a blog coming up sooner, probably by August end or September 1st week. And we have also planned an equity webinar, which we plan to have it on 2nd of October, 2024. And I'll be following more on this in the upcoming meetings. And lastly, yes, if you do have any suggestions for anyone you think could be a part of this group, please do give us a suggestions. We'll follow up with them. And on that note, I just want to thank you all for your time and for the wonderful presentation, Zhenglai and Joe. I'll be giving you the meeting recordings and the slides shortly. And I look forward to meeting you all in the next meeting.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dipti. Have a great rest of your day.